3 days before Christmas 2019, I discovered what the word miracle really means. My name is James, and this is the story of my grandmother, Rose Thompson, or as I called her, Grandma Rose. That week, I saw her reach the most desperate point in her life, and I witnessed something that would change forever the way I believe in God. If you've ever felt like heaven is silent, stay with me until the end. What happened inside that small house in Riverside, Tennessee, will prove that He never abandons us. I was only 10 years old when I lost my mother to cancer. My sister Lisa was 8, my little brother Tommy 6. Our father had disappeared years before. Only my grandmother remained. Rose Thompson was known throughout the town as a skilled seamstress, talented hands, a generous heart. But at 65, arthritis was slowly breaking her down. Even so, she hid the pain behind a smile. That December, things were worse than ever. Money had run out. The fridge was completely empty. I still remember her standing there, staring at a bottle of expired ketchup and half a gallon of sour milk. "Grandma, what's for breakfast?" Tommy asked, rubbing his eyes. Grandma took a deep breath, trying to smile. We're gonna have a special breakfast today. How about some sugar water? Like fancy tea?" Even at 10, I understood. There was nothing. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to the channel to receive daily stories of faith, miracles, and God working through ordinary people. Here, you won't hear the same old stories you've heard 1,000 times. The next 2 days were pure torment. Lisa tried to play to distract herself from hunger. Tommy quietly cried at night, afraid to bother anyone. And I watched my grandmother leave in the morning, knocking on doors, asking for help. She always came back empty-handed. Riverside was in crisis. No one had anything to offer. The factory had shut down. The whole town was struggling. But nothing struck me harder than the night of the second day. The house was quiet. I could hear Tommy's stomach growling. Lisa hugged her rag doll like it was a shield against hunger. When I passed through the living room, I saw my grandmother. She was kneeling on the floor, in front of my grandfather's empty chair. Her Bible was open in her trembling hands, tears falling onto the pages. "Jesus," her voice breaking, "they are just children. They don't deserve this. If I've failed as a grandmother, forgive me. But please don't let them suffer because of me." The sound of those words cut through my heart. The woman who had always been our strongest was now crying like a child. And then she whispered something I would never forget. "If the Lord still hears an old woman like me, show me a way, any way." She stayed there for almost an hour. When she finally stood up, her face had changed. There was a strange peace, as if she had handed over a burden she had been carrying alone. I remember thinking in that moment, if God is real, if He really loves children like Grandma always said, why is He letting this happen? Part of me wanted to believe in her prayers, but the hungry part, the tired part, whispered that maybe we were truly alone. I was 10 years old and already losing the faith I didn't even know I had. How wrong I was. The next morning, I woke up to voices in the kitchen. It was early, around 7 a.m. I walked to the doorway and froze. There was a man sitting at our kitchen table. I knew every face in town, but I had never seen this one before. Simple, clean work clothes, gray hair, eyes so deep they seemed to see beyond the surface. "Mrs. Thompson," he said softly, "I heard about your situation through the church." My grandmother looked confused. "Which church, sir?" "Pastor Williams told me there was nothing left at the food pantry." "Not that church," he replied gently. "A bigger one." Suddenly, there were 2 paper bags on the table. I swear they hadn't been there the night before. "There's enough food here to last 2 weeks, he said. "And I know someone who needs a seamstress, someone willing to work from home." Tears fell immediately from my grandmother's eyes. "Sir, I don't know how to thank you. I've been praying." He smiled. "Sometimes prayers are answered through people, Mrs. Thompson. And as for your hands," he paused, "I have faith they will heal." From his pocket, he pulled a small piece of paper. "Tomorrow, go to Threads of Hope on Main Street. Ask for Carol Jensen. She's expecting someone just like you." My grandmother held the paper with trembling hands. "And how can I find you later to thank you? What is your name?" The man stood up, walked to the door, and said only, "That's not necessary, ma'am. Just pass it forward when you can." And he left. But when my grandmother ran to the window to see where he went, the street was empty. He had vanished. "Where did he go, Grandma?" Tommy asked, scared. No one knew how to answer. Inside the bags were chicken, bread, fruits, milk, vegetables, real food. And the next day, exactly as he said, Carol Jensen was waiting for her. And the most incredible part, when my grandmother sat down to show her work, her hands didn't hurt. For the first time in months, she got the job. We ate again. We lived again. But that wasn't the end. 6 months later, a new family arrived in town, struggling, and I watched my grandmother quietly prepare a bag of food for them. "James," she said, "when God's grace reaches you, it never stops with you. It always passes on." Today, at 25, looking back, I realized that December was more than a time of hunger. It was when I learned that faith is not measured by the abundance of signs, but by the trust we place even when everything around us seems empty. My grandmother, Rose, passed away last year, taking the secret of that mysterious man with her. But she left us a legacy that nothing can erase. The certainty that God always finds a way to reach his children. She used to say, "Some questions don't need answers, James. They just need faith." And over time, I understood what she meant. Maybe that man was an angel. Maybe just someone sent by God. What matters is that, through him, the Lord showed us we were never alone. And maybe you, listening now, are living your own difficult December. Maybe it's not food that's missing from your table, but peace, hope, or faith. I want you to know, when everything feels silent, God is closer than you imagine. And more than that, sometimes you are called to be the miracle someone else is waiting for. Just like that man was for us. Just like my grandmother was for so many families after. If this story touched your heart, I invite you to be part of it. Write, "I believe in miracles" in the comments. It's more than just words. It's an act of faith. Please also share where in the world you're writing from and tell us about a supernatural encounter or miracle you've personally experienced. Your testimony could inspire others and help strengthen their faith. I'll personally read each message. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss more real stories that lift your hope and faith. Up next, I've got an amazing story about a man who survived a car crash at 3 a.m., helped by 2 strangers, and what he discovered afterward will truly surprise you. You won't want to miss it. Thank you for listening. God bless you.